Yeah, 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 yeah. Welcome to me casa, make yourself at home, do your do. Welcome to my pad, this your lab, go create your move.
What's good, everybody? This is the 99 Miles Per Hour podcast with your host, me, Perci Garner. And we have a special guest today, but before we get to him, I just need to get some stuff out of the way. We appreciate everybody who's tuning in. And I'm excited for this show. It's going to be a little different, but I look every show to learn something, so I think I'm going to learn a lot. Hopefully you guys do as well. We do like to thank Josh for producing all this, and I'm excited. We got a new camera, so when we get tight on Nate here, oh dang, I just gave away our guest. Oh, I guess he's on the screen already. It's a new camera, you know what I'm saying? And then a shout out to Greg Perkins, even though he's from New Philly, he did let us borrow his camera, and we're pretty excited about it. So I guess leave a comment about how good the camera looks, because that's all me. No, also, if you are interested in other podcasts that are on the network, the Get Level Network, we've got a gang of podcasts. I used to name them all, but we're not doing that anymore. Just go to the website, getlevelpod.com. You can see all of them, listen to all of them. They're everywhere, on every podcast network, on every podcast app or whatever. You can find them all. And then thank you for joining us on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe. I hate saying that, but just make sure you do. And remember, if we do get any more 5-star reviews, we will read them on the next episode. But let's get to the guests. Oh, I do have a scholarship. I'm building the scholarship, so we do have, Josh will put the link on the screen somewhere to get there, and we're going to be doing some new designs. We did the podcast design and my push, which means pray until something happens. All that goes to a Dover student. We'll figure out guidelines eventually. But thank you. All right, let's get to, that was a lot. Let's get to our guest for today. So our guest for today is a Dover grad. So we do have someone back from Tuscarawas County. We had someone in Arizona. That was fun, but we're back to the people we love here. Now he did move out, but he went to Ohio State. He's an Ohio State grad as well, and he's back working at Ohio State doing some big things, which we'll get into. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to mess up anything about his resume. But just know that he's a beast in the engineering space, and I can't wait to learn from him. But welcome to our show tonight, Nate Ames, everybody. Appreciate having you here. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Good.
A beast might be a bit of an exaggeration.
Let me talk you up. I like doing it. But no, I'm looking forward to, I have all these notes here from, pretty much everything you've done from graduation point of Dover and further. We're not going to get too much into the days of, pre-graduation.
Glory days.
Yeah. We talk about my glory days enough on here. But no, I'm glad that Carmela brought you to my attention. And, I saw you on a commercial. I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. Yeah, let's do it. And I appreciate having you here. But yeah, like I said, a Dover grad in 1994. Hope you don't mind me saying the year. But you were an athlete. We will bring that up as well.
Yep.
What were your events you competed in?
I was very active in track and not very good at football.
Okay, so the opposite of me. So I was not very fast. I was never going to be on the track. But I was decent at football. So, but that's good. You said one fun fact I love about you, Nate, is something we have in common. And that's who you married. I said, well, I guess we'll start into that. And just talk about, how I guess you met your wife.
Yeah, high school sweetheart.
Yeah.
So we met in probably 8th grade. She moved here from
Ashtabula. Was that 1978? No.
Something like that.
I'm messing. She moved from Ashtabula, huh?
Yep, Ashtabula area. I don't know the exact town, but yeah, she moved here in 7th or 8th grade. We met, I think we had a couple classes together. And then, sophomore, junior year, one of the two, I asked her out. She said, I'm going out of town. I'll tell you next week sometime. So our relationship started off right,
She had to think about it. She wasn't sure.
She wanted to make sure that I knew who was in charge. Yeah, the relationship has steady course from then.
Nice. And I'm pretty sure it's stayed the same way throughout.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yep.
That's good. Awesome. Well, we got your shout out. What was her name?
Stacy.
So she's got a song about her that's pretty popular.
Right. Yep.
But that's great because it's very similar to me. where they have no history knowing who we are. So that's the advantage. You know, they come from somewhere else.
That's exactly right. Right.
Krista came from St. Joe's, so she wasn't always at Dover. So that was great. But, you know, I think you had, so we were talking about how you went to college, how you went to Ohio State, but talk about, you know, your decision to go to Ohio State. I feel like there was something there.
Yeah. So I had an uncle or a cousin, some distant relative who worked for General Motors, and went to visit him, thought what he was doing was really cool. He was playing with robots and, you know, got to see the automotive plant. He took me around town. It's just one of those things coming from Dover. You know, you walk in, it's like, whoa, everything is big and amazing, and there's sparks everywhere. You
just
know,
like Dover.
That's right. Yes, fire and brimstone as soon as you walk in the plant. It was
what's up.
just incredible. So I found out where he went to school, looked into it more, you know, Ohio State University, talked to him a few times, learned he was a welding engineer. So I knew I wanted to play with robots. Like everything that I saw up there was what I knew I wanted to do.
That's what's up.
Ended up getting a small scholarship from Dover. Somebody had donated money to support track students, like athletes that ran track. So that helped a little bit. Okay. And then as odd as it is for this conversation, I also received a minority scholarship.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So back then, Dover still is part of Appalachia. Okay. Appalachia was at the time considered an underrepresented minority. So that helped me get my foot in the door, and then I worked 2 jobs and worked my ass off every year after that.
Dang, okay. That's what's up. I didn't even know about that. See, I'm learning new stuff out here. That's what I love. Yeah. That's my goal.
I don't want to steal the show, so you cut me off whenever, right?
No. You steal the show from me. That's what I want, because I talk way too much. So you just keep going.
Dude, the coolest thing about my academic career, just talking a little bit, was I lived in the stadium.
Really?
I was one of the last classes at OSU that was able to live inside the stadium. So there were dorms in the north side of the stadium. I forget what they were. I forget the numbers of them, but yeah, the whole north side, or I guess that's the west side of the stadium right next to the river. That was all dormitories.
Wow. Did you know that? Because he was a Ohio State grad as well. Josh was.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, they were pretty gone by the time you were there.
There's some history there for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they tore them down they stopped doing it in the early 2000s, late 90s or early 2000s. They got rid of them.
Oh, okay.
But, yeah, it was great. So every football game, we could hear everybody right behind us.
What?
We broke a few rolls and snuck in through you could get from the dorms into the stadiums. We did that occasionally.
Oh, you didn't have to come clean on the podcast.
Yeah, I don't think they're looking for me. So.
That's crazy. Yep. That is awesome. I'm glad. I mean, that's something, I don't know if I went over that when we were talking on the phone, but that's amazing. That's something new I didn't know about. I wonder if, the Ohio State alums out there knew anything about that, that weren't, as old as Nate. No, I'm just.
It's kind of weird that I'm the old guy in the room here.
Yeah, but not, I guess by a lot. Yeah. I'm messing. I love to mess with people with their age, but nah, man. I mean, the stuff you're doing, Trump's age, and you still got a long way to go. You're not old. Maybe when I was like 7 or 8, I think you're old, but you're not old until you're 80 now, right?
Yeah,
that's 90. Okay, 90. Yeah.
I don't know. When you go to the doctor and he says, "We don't need to fix that. Because of your age, we don't need to fix that."
Yes, I got that with my knees.
Yes, me too.
Oh yeah, wait. Let's talk about that a little bit. If you don't know, none of this is timeline wise. So right, we're just jumping around. So I know you had a knee injury.
Yep.
You tore an ACL.
Tore my ACL. Tore up my MCL a little bit, but not. It was just what do they call it? A sprain or a strain. Mm-hmm. Just enough that it hurt, and tore my meniscus up.
And that was just recent.
That was recent. That was in May.
Ooh.
That was, as my wife tells the story, there's a bunch of us that all hang out together, family, friends. We go boating almost every weekend. One of the 16-year-olds was doing something. I tried to copy it, and 44-year-old, 45-year-old body doesn't behave the way a 16-year-old
does. Your mind, your mind's like, oh, I can do this.
Yeah.
And your body says,
Yep. So I might be giving up wakeboarding for a while.
Oh, man, that's a great story. So, but you're fully recovered now?
No, I'm 5 weeks post-surgery. So
dang. Oh, yeah, just May. Well, I don't know what, COVID's messed up my calendar. That's my excuse.
Yeah.
Is that a good excuse? That's a good excuse.
It is.
Okay, good.
Yep. Yeah, so surgery was just 5 weeks ago.
Dang.
I'm walking now, feeling good. I still got to wear this silly compression
Oh, yeah,
thing.
I forgot you had the sleeve on. Okay,
Yep,
I thought that was just for style. I didn't know.
Looking cool.
Nice. Okay. Well, so this is stuff, even though I'm not a big Ohio State fan, sorry, they didn't recruit me, so I would
wanted
grudge.
to. I heard they did. They wanted to recruit you, and there were some loopholes. They couldn't make it happen.
Oh man. But no, I like Ohio State because the baseball coach was my college baseball coach now, Greg Beals. Cool. So, and they let me work out there and drink all their muscle milk. So we're even. So, but let's get into your professional career. Sorry, Carmela, we're not gonna, talk about the childhood and how great of a mother you were. But I just want to get in quickly because there's a lot that we need to talk about. And, you probably need to get home or something eventually. So we could probably have this conversation for 4 hours. But let's get into the professional career. And I'm going to let you say the first company you worked for, even though I did test it out and you said I was correct.
That's right. Swagelock.
Swagelock or Swagelock.
Swagelock.
All right. Well, just explain, what that is, where that is, and I guess how you graduated, when you graduated from Ohio State, how you got in there.
Yep. So I actually started before. I took a co-op with them sophomore or junior year. I don't remember which exactly.
Okay.
They're located up near Cleveland, up in the Solon area.
Okay.
So I went every other quarter, Columbus, Cleveland. Did that until I graduated. When I graduated, I moved up there. My wife and I bought a house. That's like when the grown-up stuff started, right? Bought a house, got a dog.
Nice. Started caring about like what washer and dryer you have and stuff.
That's exactly right. Trying to figure out how to raise a puppy.
They're hard.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I would say they're worse than babies. They don't have a diaper.
I don't know about that. Maybe yours just aren't old enough yet. Wait till they hit teenage years.
Yeah. I guess I haven't experienced that yet.
Right. Oh. Yeah. So I stayed there. Unfortunately, I only stayed there a few years. I quickly got moved into the oil and gas team doing new product development and worked on a really cool project. Through that project, I filed for a couple patents and nothing fancy. I was part of a team. There were lots of people on the patents. I was just one of the inventors. And a faculty member at OSU became aware of the patents that we had filed, and it was kind of in his line of research. Okay. So he asked if I was interested in doing a master's and a PhD. Sounded awesome to me. So my wife and I picked up. We moved to Columbus. The intent at the start was that we were always going to go back to Swagelock. It was never supposed to be a one-way trip. We tell the story that we got on 71 South. We stopped in Columbus. We've been trying to figure out how to go 71 North for the last 25 years or so.
I like it.
So anyway, it worked out great. I did my master's, did some pretty, I thought was cool research. I worked for a company called EWI. They actually funded my fellowship there in Columbus as well. So then the story starts to get kind of weird and crazy, right? I was going to say EWI was what, right next door? Yeah, right next door. They shared a building. EWI and the welding engineering department at OSU shared a building.
Okay.
So anyway, worked for EWI while I was doing my master's, transitioned into my PhD, and about the same time I started a company. And me and my business partner, we were both about the same age. We both had a kid and still trudging along. I was doing my PhD. He was still working on his master's. And then I had a second kid, and I was like, yeah, we're gonna let the PhD go. So I'm pretty sure that my doctoral advisor is still probably mad at me for not finishing.
Really?
Yeah, but
hey, life comes at you fast.
That's right. Yeah, and the company did well. So I'm not part of the company anymore, but it's still doing really well.
Nice.
It has changed directions a few times, but it's nice to see something that I was involved in continuing to grow.
That's what's up. And it's still the same name?
Same name.
Okay.
He's a good guy. It's the guy that owns it his name's Andy Joseph, and the company's Apex. But Andy and I started the company together back in 2002. I think it was 2002.
That's what's up.
Yeah. And I stayed active. I ended up selling to him, a few years later to do other things.
Gotcha.
And I've started a handful of companies ever since then. some of the names I don't even remember. I kind of, again, Stacy gives me a lot of, I start companies when I have an idea, and then I realize, that was actually a really bad idea.
At least you can say you can start companies. So you two have something in common with the, having some companies started. I haven't started one yet, but actually, I guess I did. My the bullpen on 21. My baseball. It wasn't my initial idea. Kyle Tharp and Sam were my business partners, but they were nice enough to include me in, and I taught some kids some baseball stuff. Hopefully they learned something from the last podcast. But no, so you had you sold the company, and were you approached? I'm trying to remember the story from when we were on the phone, but you were approached by the same person that was brought to your attention when they were doing some research about your patents at Swagelok?
No, so when I got out of Apex, and I was still working for EWI. Oh, okay. So there was EWI was kind of a common thread for about 11 years. And, gotcha. And when I left Apex, the driving force for me to leave was I wanted to focus on EWI. We had some pretty amazing things we were doing. I was really involved in oil and gas. That was my passion, my background. That was the space I lived in. So gotcha. That was another point in time when I was at Swagelok. I traveled a lot. You were on the road, 250 days a year? Yeah, there were some days where we were definitely gone more than home. And then as things grew at EWI, I had kind of the same travel pattern. And I was the token guy that had a passport that already had yellow fever shots and kind of all the immunizations you need to go around the world. So anytime there was something going on in Africa or I can't even think of all the countries. I've been everywhere. I don't know. Trying to say that. I'm not even going to say the word immunization. Immunizations. Yeah, I think I said it wrong the first time. No, you said it right. Yeah. But I mean, you probably ate real healthy traveling and stuff like that, right? No, I know how I eat right now. Sometimes I buy candy for the customer, Steve. Right. I really do buy candy for the customer, I swear. And then, I might reach in the bag, depending on what it is. If it's a Reese Cups, I'm sorry, customers, you're not getting them. But when you're on the road, you know how tough it is, and your road is way worse than my road. I'm just eating driving airport food all the time. It's horrible. I mean, it tastes good though. Yep. And Stace used to travel a lot with me, so that was good too. She used to come. I don't know how many trips she came on, but she came. We worked in Czech Republic. She actually didn't. Maybe she didn't come on that one. My brother and my sister and my wife at different times traveled with me. So I was gone for before weeks. You had kids? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I was gone for sometimes a couple weeks. So it was easy for someone to come over, hang out. They do whatever during the day, and then we go do things at night. Nice. I know Stace came to France once or twice with me. Nick, my brother, and my sister came over to Czech Republic when I was there. Nice. We've done a few random trips, but lots of fun. Dang. Have you been out of the country, Josh? I guess you don't have a mic, but I'll just relay what you said. Oh, see, I've only been to Canada. I don't really count that. Yeah. Tijuana doesn't really count as Mexico either, so you can. Oh man, so that's a lot of traveling. That's when did the faculty at Ohio State take notice, or wanted you to come back and be a part of this program that you're a part of now? So I left EWI in 2011 mid-year, I suppose. And I was part of a startup doing oil and gas services. Okay. And we hit the timing as horrible as you could get it. So we got a lot of work. We were super active. We were like driving trucks in the mud and being all kinds of cool. And then the bottom fell out of the market. And it went as fast as we went up, we came back down. And right about that time, I was trying to figure out what to do. I was helping Andy at Apex a little bit where I could. And then this opportunity at OSU came up. And one of the faculty members reached out, not the same one that I did my grad work under, but another faculty member reached out and said, hey, this might be something that aligns with you. You've done multiple startups. You've been really active. You might want to give it a shot. Nice. So I met with the dean and one of the associate deans for the College of Engineering. We all clicked and got along. And then in December of 2014, I started at OSU.
Nice. Now, did this have like a name, or was it just, I think you said it was just you, an old rusty laptop in a building at Ohio State?
That's right. I was employee number 1 in a building that was slated to be torn down.
See, I mean, and eventually, obviously, we'll get to where you are now, but just to start, I mean, most people would be like, all right, what am I doing, Yeah. But I mean, did the dean like plant like or paint a perfect picture for you to like, okay, this is what we're going to do this, or was it just like, hey, we think this could happen, but here you are? No,
our dean. So his name's Dean Williams. He's a visionary.
Wait, so his name, he's the dean, and his name is Dean?
No, no. His name is Dave.
Okay, I was about
Dean
to say.
David Williams. Okay. But he's a visionary. So he was one of the first people in the academic circles that I'd ever talked to who recognized that there's a value proposition out there to create an applied engineering research center that's inside of the university, but operates as though it's outside the university.
Okay.
He had feedback from his board. I'm sure he collected feedback from all over the place, but he and a faculty member named Glenn Dane were the two that kind of came together to create this vision. And then they brought me in, and I've probably put my own brushstrokes on it at different places, but for the most part, it's still the same core vision that Dave and Glenn had back 8 years ago, 7 years ago now.
Wow. I mean, in anything you do, I think that you have to have some clear-cut vision, like Josh with the Get level or next level. I'm pretty sure you're like, okay, this is what I want to do. If you kind of just go into something and you're just like, yeah, I want to make a successful business, we'll figure it out as we go. It's just hard. So like when I was working with my kids and trying to show them, hey, this is the goal you want, where kind of think about the path you're going to take to get there. And I mean, I'm sure you can attest to that. It's not just, winging it. Yep. There might be some opportunities where you have to, but for the most part, you have like, okay, this is what we want to accomplish. This is what we're going to do with this idea. And there might be a little things you branch off. Yep. But for the most part, you're just like, we see what we want to do. We're going to go attack it. So,
Absolutely. Yeah. It's kind of like looking down the highway. The highway goes straight as far as you can see. Yeah. And the further you go, there's little wiggles in it. It's still basically, 71 goes basically north and south.
Yeah.
There's little deviations, but as long as you look forward, it always looks like it's going the same direction.
I like it.
That's kind of how the center's been. We've always been headed in the same direction. There's definitely been little deviations. It's always kind of wiggling around, but we're still heading north. Right? We're still going towards the same North Star, the same lighthouse, different nice. Analogies, I suppose.
The one thing I do notice is what someone told me when I first started driving is no matter what, you're always going to end up where you're looking. Like they told me, hey, if you're turning, just look there, and you turn, you'll just end up exactly where you want. I never believed that. I'm always like, I don't know, like when I drive, I don't know how if you do that, but when you're driving, or sometimes if you look at something, say you see, a girl or something that you're like, oh, eventually you might end up going left to center.
That's right.
And it's just, if you like your highway analogy, if you're looking straight ahead at your goal, you're going to stay no matter how it goes. You're going to end up in that way. So I just love little things that, help me, I guess, stay on track.
Yeah. I think the trap that people get caught, this is my opinion. I'm not a business expert by any means, but the trap that people get caught in is they sit and they stare at their numbers, which is the equivalent in this analogy we're talking through. It's the equivalent of looking in the rearview mirror.
Yeah.
So when you're looking behind you, the road looks straight too, but it doesn't tell you anything about what's coming right ahead of you.
And that's sort of about this channel and the podcast. Like I'm always like, at first I was like, Josh, send me the analytics. I want to see how many people are listening, who's watching, and all this. And it really doesn't really help us, move forward and how we want to up our production or, get different guests on.
Right.
And if we focus on that, the rest of the stuff will take care of itself. And I think that's basically what you're saying right now with it. Yeah.
It's good information to have. It tells you who your customers are, who your audience is. It tells you what you did wrong, but it shouldn't be telling you where you're going to go.
Yeah.
Right? You need to be driving towards the vision.
Like it. Well, okay. Tell us about this. So wait, I have a date here. Was this December 14th? Why was that?
That's when I started. That's when I was hired.
Oh, okay. Because I know my birthday is the 13th. So I was like, oh, this date's pretty cool.
December of 2014.
Oh.
Sorry, man.
I was about to say me and Taylor Swift, same birthday, baby. And Elizabeth Studer, she's from Dover too. And Mr. Hannon, sorry, I got to include you. I think actually Mr. Matthias too. I got to include everybody with the same birthday. Sorry. All the cool people, December 13th.
What was 9 months before that? Is that like First Town Days or something? 9 months before December?
Is it First Town Days?
I don't know.
It wasn't this year.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, nothing this year. But, okay, I was just making sure. I was like, I got this date down, December 14th.
December 2014, that's right.
Yeah, so this, so what do you guys call it? Engineering Center?
Yeah,
or?
so the name of the center is it's the Center for Design and Manufacturing Excellence.
Ooh, okay.
And
I like it.
It took me a long time to understand. In academia, words mean different things. So when I first went to the university, excellence, I always felt like I was being pompous. I was like, I don't want to just like not say excellence. Can I say Center for Design and Manufacturing or the Manufacturing Center and leave that off? And then the longer I've been in the circle, the work environment, excellence in an academic or university setting, it has more to do with like training the students, and it's about targeting the best or creating the best.
Gotcha. You're not saying I'm excellent.
That's right. Right. So in that context, that's exactly what we're doing. We're focused on making, for us, excellence is all about the students, right? We're trying to create the best students that can possibly come out of OSU.
That's what's up. And I was going to say this leading into, so this Center of Excellence has 25, like full-time engineers and, well, before COVID, 75 undergrad students.
Yeah, thereabouts. I think the exact number on March 15th of this year was 73.
Okay.
And then March 16th, everybody had to scatter.
Gotcha.
Over the course of 12 months, the total number of students that were employed by the center for the academic year of 2019-2020, so this past academic year, we had 86 students working for us.
Okay.
And one of the things about the center is we're very focused on getting our students as much industry experience as we can. So by design, we don't want a student to come into the center and just hang out.
Yeah.
We want them, if we can help them get an internship or a part-time job or something with industry or with one of our customers, we push them out. We try to kick them out of the nest and get them some experience, and then we bring them back. So when that co-op, intern, part-time, when it ends, we try to pull them back into the center and keep growing them and advancing them and giving them more skills and more experiences. Nice.
Okay. Well, what I thought was super cool was, so you always think about, like, I wish there was some way other than an internship to just get experience, show a business, a company, like I don't know, I guess I don't want to say this, but I'm trying to think of a good company I could say. My all-time favorite company growing up, maybe was Apple or something like that. It would be great to work for Apple, and more, not like an Apple store, but nothing against Apple store. I did apply there and didn't get hired. So, but
so now you run a podcast.
Yeah. This was before I got drafted. I was at the Easton Mall and I was like, man, I really want to work at this Apple store. It's so cool. This is when I had an iPhone and everyone was like, why do you have an iPhone? Everyone still had the BlackBerry.
Right.
And I was just obsessed with Apple at the time. Times have changed. I still got an iPad and all that stuff. Apple's a good company. But if I always like, man, what is a way I can get it in with those companies? And from what I understand, this the center you guys have here, basically kind of does that. From what you were telling me is, big companies, you guys. Well, I guess before we get into that part, let's talk about what you guys can do at this center as well. Besides training the undergrad students and stuff like that, what you guys do is pretty cool. With say I have an idea and I need somewhere to get this idea out, and so it can be actually turn into something.
Right. So you can cut this out later if you want, but I think a cool part of the story is how we got to today.
Okay, yeah,
right?
Let's
do that. We've been following that road, chasing the vision, and when we first kicked the center off, the thought process then was we're going to be an applied engineering center. We're going to focus on industry. We're going to go out, and anytime industry needs to drive a technology forward, whether the technology came from the university or from themselves or maybe from a VC or something, we were going to help them kind of rally that technology, turn it into a product, and get it out in the marketplace. That was what our mission was. That's what we thought our mission was. And it didn't really involve students. It was all about industry.
Okay.
And as we went along, we got some projects, we kind of kept the lights on, we grew a little bit, but we started hearing feedback from our customers. And when we would ask the customer, what do you need? What can we do? How do we change? They never talked about the technology. And it was almost to the point of frustration because we helped you with this product, or we helped you develop this widget, or we fixed that broken thing, whatever their problem was that we were trying to help with. What do we do next? How do we improve? Those are our types of questions. And they'd come back and talk to us about students. So we're like, no, I got it. Yeah, students are cool. We like students too. We're Ohio State, but what about this thing? That big black box is now super cool and it's really light. Isn't that awesome? Yeah. And then the students, and everything kept going to the students. And then, I don't know, a couple of years ago, finally the hammer hit me on the side of the head. And it's like, so when a company thinks of Ohio State University, they don't think of products. Yeah. These companies aren't coming to Ohio State because they want help with a product. They're not coming to Ohio State because they need something broken or tested or pushed to its limit. They're coming to Ohio State because they want students. Mm. So we had spent the first 2.5 years building up a pretty awesome lab, especially for engineers. It's definitely an engineering playground. We've got a big robotic lab, multiple full scale, robots big enough to pick a car up. We've got injection molding machines, stamping equipment, CNC machining centers, friction stir.
How big is this building?
The building is an old manufacturing building. So it was actually it was built in the 40s to manufacture saw blades. Okay. The total building is about 100,000 square feet. Okay. The center is only occupying about 30,000 right now. Okay. We're just shy of 30,000.
That's pretty hefty. ComDoc, we just built a new building, and I think it's like 130 or something like that. Yeah. And I just know the sales part I'm in is so little part of that 130, but I feel like it's huge.
Right. Yeah, it's a big building, and because it was a manufacturing building, it's perfect for what we're trying to do. So the kind of the distinction when I was doing research for grad school, you make little tiny widgets, right? They're like, I need to make a part this big so I can test the crap out of it to try to get a master's or a PhD. Yeah. As you move to more applied, you got to take that thing that you did all the science on, and you have to turn it into the side of a car or the tail on an airplane or whatever the family's going to be. So the equipment's got to be big. Okay. So because the building was originally a manufacturing facility, it was already at scale. So we have the ceilings are 21 feet high. There's already 5-ton and 20-ton cranes in the building to move stuff around. We had all the infrastructure we needed to put all this equipment in.
That's what's up.
Yeah, like I said, if you're an engineering egghead, it's freaking awesome. It's
definitely. I'm not, but I'm still like, man, I want to. Yeah. I thought I was going to be a computer engineer, but.
We do have computers too.
Okay. Yeah. All right, cool. I'll go in there then. Love the computers.
Yeah. So anyway, when that epiphany, like that wake up flux capacitor moment happened, it's like, oh yeah, they come to OSU for students. We just flipped the whole model over. So we said, we're going to still do everything we did before, but we're going to make sure that every project has multiple students on it. And we're going to make sure that every time a customer comes in the door, the students are helping run the product meeting. The students are helping with program management. And when you need to do marketing material or you got to do some sort of analysis to make sure that there's a market segment that is willing to entertain the product you've created, we get the students to do that. So we're taking these companies that are coming in, trying to work with these companies that come in and expose the students at as many levels as we can to them. So HR, we've got history majors, we've got business majors, marketing majors, communications, design, and then a whole lot of engineering students across multiple departments. And they all work on projects with these companies. So the companies effectively get to interview them for a couple of years while they're doing project work. And the students also get to interview the company. So by the time they graduate, it's not just that really sexy icon that's up on a billboard somewhere. You actually know the culture of the company. The students, they tend to know more about the company they work.
It's pretty cool, for. I guess I got to admit, Ohio State's doing some cool things, whatever. Yeah. Yeah. That's so insane. I just wish, I had that type of experience. But that's just, I think that's cool. And I mean, that's a good attestment. I know a lot of people want to go to Ohio State just because it's Ohio State, but knowing the inner workings and the opportunities that are possible on campus is exciting, you know?
Yeah. Yep.
Maybe I'll let my son go there. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
Only if Nate's still there. He's still going to be there in 20 years? Okay.
I'll be there, yeah. Hopefully I'm retired by then, right?
Yeah,
I'm a lot older than you remember.
Yeah, true. Well, Perci, no, it wouldn't be 20. You'll still be there. Okay. You won't be retired yet. What is it? 11 years? 11 years to be there. Yeah. So,
yeah.
So now what else I have is, so I know you were talking to me about, you know, the big companies you're working with and they have the inner workings. And I mean, some of these companies, necessarily aren't always thought of as like, you know, when people look at a big business, they assume certain things, you know, they don't typically assume that they're not honest, but they don't, you know, they just look at the company and go, well, you know, such and such, this big company, they don't care about anybody or anything. They don't really care about the employees. But this is proof that, you know, certain companies, when they're coming and they're finding out everything about these students to see if they'll be a good fit in the culture, because culture now is like a big thing. You can't just plug anybody in based off of their talents and skills. You got to make sure they're going to, you know, a lot of things are teams. So you got to make sure they're going to work well with a lot of people, depending on the job that is, obviously.
Right. And that's a key part of why we have so many different majors. You know, when you or I or any student graduating tomorrow or next year, when they get out of school, they don't just work with their major. And I know universities across the nation, not just Ohio State, everybody's trying to figure out how you create multidisciplinary teams, because that's what industry says over and over again. We need students to have experience working with multiple engineering degrees, multiple business degrees. There needs to be some art and science. You know, they have to learn to work with people that are from different backgrounds and different educational experiences.
Gotcha.
We force it in the center.
Okay.
And I don't want to claim to know what all universities do. What I've seen is most try to do the multidisciplinary activities their senior year.
Oh, gotcha.
So either sometimes it's a multidisciplinary capstone or a senior project, but all that tends to happen the last 6 months of school.
Yeah, I'm about to do my capstone here soon. I'm frightened. No,
Yeah, we start them as freshmen. So they've got, by the time they graduate, a student that's been through the center, they've got 4,000 hours of multidisciplinary project work working for the company that hopefully they want to go work for after graduation.
Dang.
So I don't know, one of our program managers, he says his quote is, if we do our job right, when the student goes to work for you, so that you hire them and you've been working with them, it's not like you hired them, it's like you gave them their first promotion. Right? They've already got the equivalent of 2 years experience with you. You already know where the fit is and how they're going to behave. So you're promoting them into their effective second role in the company.
Oh, I like it. Yeah. That's what's up. So I know there's another project that you're involved in, involving some big corporation that we may or may not have interviewed a couple of weeks ago. Well, I guess we already established that the Pro Football Hall of Fame isn't the NFL. Sorry. But some of the things I have here is obviously you're working with certain things like helmet design and all that. Now, is that involved with the companies you want me to interview, like the people who are starting companies with that, or is that just with the Ohio State?
Yeah, so that's actually, yes. So none of it's a secret. We are working with Sean Springs.
Okay.
His company's called WinPack.
Okay.
And
WinPack.
Yeah, and it's got a T on the end, so WinPacked.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so the project we're doing is with him, with his company, and we're trying to kind of redesign helmets, make them more concussion safe. And we're doing that in support of or in collaboration with the NFL.
Nice.
Now, if COVID has turned everything upside down, so who knows how this is going to play out, right? But if everything goes well and we continue to kind of eke along and perform well, the hope and the big success is that whatever we come up with will be in the NFL as a commercial. So the center will get a spotlight, Sean's company gets a spotlight, and we get to tell the world, look how just awesome this is.
That's what's up. For you Ohio State fans, yes, he was a former player. Now he played in the NFL a long time. Josh doesn't know he is, but Josh is young. It's only when you're younger than me, but I know all these players because of all the video games and stuff I used to play.
That's
but
right.
anyway, so WinPack, that's awesome.
Yeah. It is an awesome project. So you want to get college kids and OSU alum and faculty. You want to get them excited.
Yeah.
Put a bunch of helmets on a table.
Yeah.
Man, it is.
They care about football?
They do. It is incredible.
Man.
We try to inspire the kids, the students. We try to inspire them every day to make them work harder and challenge them and push them. Mm-hmm. You bring something like that in, it's easy.
Yeah.
Right. It gets really easy to build teams and get people working together.
That's what's up.
We've got I don't think this is secret, but we're trying to help. We're trying to help with all the COVID stuff. So
yeah, I was about to bring this up. I'm glad you're going to it.
Yep. So we've done a lot, and we can talk about some of the other big projects we've done for COVID. But the one that relates to the helmets, nobody really knows what to do right now. So the easy solution for a helmet is you put the eye shield on, right?
Yeah.
They see through it. Kickers wear it. Lots of people wear the eye shield. It's pretty common.
Yeah.
As soon as you put something over their mouth, so it doesn't have to be a full mask. It could just be like slits in a piece of plastic. But as soon as you restrict airflow over the football player's mouth, the temperature of their breath fogs that eye shield up.
Yeah.
And you can clean them and you can put anti-fog on them. There's things you can do. You can rub them down with soap. There's a lot of different tricks to try to keep them from fogging up. But all it has to do is fog up once, and the player is not going to be happy.
Yeah.
Right? So
they need to see, I guess.
Yep. So we're working right now as fast as we can to try to find a solution for that. And we had a couple of students participate in a conference call a week or so ago, and I don't know that they've left the center since then.
Really?
Like they're just so fired up. And I run into other people around campus, and I was at a charity event over the weekend, and these students they're like telling everybody. Right? You
that's what's up.
Walk in and meet somebody that you hadn't met or hadn't seen in a long time. Like, hey, Emmanuel, did you hear what Emmanuel's doing for you guys? Like, yeah, I know what he's doing. I hope he's eating lunch and dinner. He's working so hard. But things like that where they feel like they're making an impact, and it's something that they see. Right?
Yeah.
It's not like the bolts on a car. There's things that are super important and we have to have them.
Yeah.
But when you pull it to the front and it's on TV and it's it's crazy how hard these students work.
And I know when I was playing baseball, obviously sort of entertainment, people get to watch and it's cool. But when I got to work for a company, well, it's a different company now, but at the time it was Lauren Innovations, and it was called Navigate Prepared. Sorry, Matt. I remember the company. Navigate Prepared. We made like a software that we were trying out, and it was, help with schools and security and all that. And I just felt like, obviously I love baseball, no lie, but I just felt like I was doing something so, impactful for schools and to make the parents feel safe and the kids and all the administration. It just was like a cool thing. And I wasn't like making the app or anything. I was just literally like the liaison, I guess you could say. I would just go to the schools and tell them how it works and work. Cause I have somewhat people skills, I guess. Right, Josh? Yeah. So I would go and, I loved the inner workings. I just didn't have the skills to design the software, but I would be able to, explain it and see the teachers like, oh, like this is so, cool. And it's that and making an impact that way. It's like so different. So I can relate to these students that are able to see something. When I was in the field and I saw it happen and seeing this teachers like, oh, all I have to do is press this and everybody gets notified and we have to worry, I'm like, yes. And it's so good to see it work in action. And you're just like, this is cool. Yep. So
yeah, I had a student, just a little side story. I had a student who was a biological engineering major, which is an agriculture. It's a degree in the Department of Agriculture, the College of Agriculture. Okay. So his background and what he was learning in school was all around like plant science and like how all that stuff happens on the plant side, way outside of my area of expertise. But he came into the center. We were getting him in all these different projects, different things, and he lit up around the idea of using nuclear power to move things in space. They call them nuclear thermal propulsion, or Ntp engines.
Okay.
In the U.S., we built one back in the 50s and 60s time frame, and we appreciably haven't built any since. So this biology major, I got a small project, got him some funding. We were working away on it. He got so rallied up around it. He came in. He ended up building a subscale mock-up of a nuclear thermal propulsion engine, and was able to hit Mach 1.5 or something in our lab.
Is that fast?
Yeah, that's super fast. Yeah, over the speed of sound.
Okay.
But he did it all with almost like Monster Garage equipment. This was a really small project. Didn't have a lot of funding, but he just got so excited about it, right? Just seeing somebody get excited and diving in head first because they see what it could be. So the way he talked about it, he was always inspiring because he loved it so much. And he's like, man, if I can help figure this out, somebody can get to Mars. And the trick to getting to Mars is you get there quickly so you don't risk solar flares and everything else. And these Ntp engines, they're poised to get us to somewhere like Mars faster than any other way.
Dang.
You go from 6 years or whatever the duration is down to like 6 months, something really fast. And he had no academic experience related to nuclear energy or propulsion.
What?
But he rallied, he did research, he studied, he pulled other people in. So he would like make phone calls and talk to literal rocket rocket scientists or whatever, and talk to him on the phone to understand what he had to do. And it was just absolutely amazing. It's so cool when the students get excited about something that excites them, that doesn't really have anything to do with their schooling, and it's going to benefit them. Yeah. So I think he's working for the Air Force now. Wow. But biological engineer, worked on a nuclear thermal propulsion engine in the center, got over Mach 1 with, like I said, Monster Garage style tools, and now he's working for the Air Force, and all the dots connected, right? When he started biological engineering, he didn't think he was going to work on an engine or end up at the Air Force. Yeah.
Well, and the way, path takes us, like we were talking about before, that's just, I never thought my path would be what it is, but obviously I wouldn't trade it. Yep. So, it's all, I think even Kobe or a lot of people, like super hard, dedicated people that are just, they have something, they have to have it. They enjoy the journey there. Obviously most of the people in the population want to just get to the end result right away, and credit to the great companies like Apple that spoil us and we can get stuff done really fast. But, that's not how things work in the real world when you're trying to design stuff like that. And you have a vision and a goal and you have a project you have to do. It takes time, but, that's cool. I've never had like a big project like that. Well, I know it's a little project, but for him it was big. So.
Career changing. Right?
Yes, and that's what I'm trying to get into. This to me is like, this podcast is like a project that I've got a lot of help when all I really have to do is just come in here and ask questions to interesting people. And it seems a lot of people are like, oh, podcast, I gotta be on camera and talk, that's crazy. But my goal is to talk less because I can get rambly. But I did want to say, I do have a couple things I did want to ask about, because we did get into it a little bit about your ACL and torn ACL. And I wanted the people to know a little bit personal about you with your hobbies and the things you like to do that sometimes get you in trouble besides wakeboarding. I know you said you got, skiing and surfing and all that stuff leads to you being like a adrenaline junkie. But, how are you able to use that in, what you do right now and bring that same fire with there's got to be ways you can create adrenaline and working in the stuff you got going on.
Yeah, everything's, I think for me, again, this is one of those things my wife would attest to. Everything's a light switch. So I can't imagine doing a job where it wasn't wide open. The throttle's always wide open. I'm always pushing as hard as I can. If I didn't feel that about a job, I wouldn't want to do it. Yeah. I can't imagine doing something where I don't get energized and the hair doesn't stand up on my arm and like that. Without that, I'm not sure why you would do it.
Yeah. And there's times where I come in the studio like, Josh, I am dead, but I love this. I love doing this. I love even aspects that Josh doesn't love. Like you saw me trying to set up this camera. Still working, by the way? Okay. Trying to set up this camera. I'm like, oh yeah, I need to, the lens has got to be, it's pretty. Look at that bokeh effect around you, the blur. And I don't know, that's just some of the stuff I'm into, and I get excited about it, even though it's not really paying me anything, but I love, hopefully it does one day, but I get excited about that stuff. And some people look at you like, what? Yeah. But me seeing, the excitement, and I'm sure if I saw that kid you're talking about, or the student, my bad, saw him, I'd get excited about what he's excited about, just because of the intensity and the excitement he's working with. Yep. I try to, get people, and I try to get my wife interested in the stuff I'm interested in all the time. I'm like, babe, look at the, I sometimes I can get her. Like last night she came in when I had that camera set up for my live shoot, and I'm like, babe, look at this. She's like, wow, that is amazing. She's like, look how it blurs. I was like, I know, right? But that stuff is, and I'm pretty sure that's how you guys feed off it, but it's very, very, what's the word I'm looking for? It's very contagious. So I was always told that, hey, smiling and my joy is contagious. I love bringing, lifting people up if they're down, or just having fun. So when the students are working in this environment, they're excited about this football thing. And there was one other thing I wanted to ask you about the new gloves and stuff for the linemen to help them, not dislocate fingers and stuff like that. But when they're working in this, and it's everybody just probably feeds off one another. Maybe someone's having a bad day, but they come in to the center, and this is kind of their escape. Like some people, like for me, sports were my escape, or maybe, surfing, hiking is your escape. But when they get locked in and they're doing these projects, they're not thinking about, hey, I got a bad grade somewhere, or my girlfriend dumped me. They're just like, boom, and that's never happened to me. I've never been dumped, by the way. So.
high school sweetheart, right?
Yeah. Yes. Actually, she didn't dump me, but she just denied me for a long time.
Yeah. So did mine. That was the period it was like, mid-college, we said we sowed our oats for.
Yeah, sometimes you got to do what you got to do, but look, you guys are together.
It wasn't my choice. Yeah.
Well, I always think, hey, I turned down a lot of colleges because I was in love, but it worked out because we got married. If we weren't together right now, I'd be like, dang, man, I should have went to some of those nice schools. But real quick before we end, I wanted you to just say a couple things about, so obviously we talked about the center, what it does, the basic idea, and it helps students get to where they want to be. But I know you guys were talking about the COVID solutions you guys were having. So most of the times when doctors are trying to get things done, it takes a long, long time. Sometimes you said a lifetime for if a doctor wants to get because the center, you have an idea and you need someone to produce it and make sure it's functional, and that's what you guys do. So I know these doctors are probably coming to you with certain ideas, and that's what you guys do. But talk about the difference since COVID has struck.
Yeah, so it was eye-opening for us in the center, and I think we've kind of shifted the paradigm in the university a little bit too. So yeah, much like you started saying, when you're a clinician working in a hospital and you have a great idea. So to your credit, you're super smart. You made it all the way to that point in your career, and then you see things over and over again, and that's what kind of flips the switch and makes you come up with a great idea. That's all the awesomeness of being a clinician, being a doctor. That's why you do it. Clinician.
I've never used that word before. I'm about to take that from you.
There you go.
All right, go ahead. Yeah. Sorry.
So then, unfortunately, what happens is I don't know if it's just the U.S. I don't know where the boundaries are, but we're so litigation. Everything is fear of litigation, or everything is, could we sue somebody over this? So you have a great idea that could save people's lives, help them, cure them, do whatever. But to mitigate litigation, the process of turning it into a product, it could take 10 years. You could spend 5 years doing upfront clinical trials where you're not even working with humans. And it's all this, it's risk averse, making sure you don't hurt anybody, but it tends to it slows product development down, and sometimes I think it slows it down for products that don't need to go through that.
Yeah,
you don't need multiple 3 clinical trials back to back to do something like a nasopharyngeal swab, an NP swab. So that's my segue into coronavirus. When it hit, everybody panicked, and to the credit of the hospitals and clinicians, the panic stayed internal. So for a long time, people were talking about, we need to get people down the street to make masks. We got to figure out how to do face shields. They were talking about all these things that are kind of like secondary protection.
Yeah.
But nobody, the hospitals all kept it pretty tight that we didn't have enough NP swabs to determine who was sick and who wasn't. So a team, and I'm honored that I was even able to be part of it, a team was started between Harvard, Ohio State University, University of Florida, Northern Florida. I think I have that wrong. And the U.S. Army. And this team started out saying, okay, we got to find a solution. So there were lots of conference calls, lots of video chats, and the defining moment was we have all this 3D printing capability that was set up for dental offices. All of the polymers, everything that was designed to go in a human's mouth will also go in their nose. Can we use these 3D printers to create a secondary product stream of nasopharyngeal swabs just to get through the hump, right? To get through the peak or hump, whatever we call it. And then once that was determined in quotation marks, then it rallied, right? Then floodgates opened. Everybody started reaching out to the community, started reaching out to the different 3D printing companies to find out what dental suppliers already had all the FDA qualifications and certifications in place. And the nation, a lot of it was behind the scenes. It didn't get a lot of press, which I think is kind of cool too.
Yeah.
But the nation rallied. So we just at Ohio State, we worked with 2 3D printing companies that are here in Ohio. And there was, I don't know the exact number, but somewhere upwards of 1 million swabs 3D printed just to get Ohio State University through the hump.
Wow.
And that happened everywhere. And like I said, that's like the hair stand up. That's one of those, the press didn't pick it up. It wasn't displayed nationally that these universities and these 3D printing companies and dental suppliers, that they all stepped up to the plate. And we didn't go through the FDA. Actually, the FDA helped figure out how we do this and use these 3D printing materials that were already qualified to go in a person's mouth. So everybody worked together. Instead of saying, how do we not get sued? Everybody just came together and found a solution.
Well, see, and why would we want to celebrate that and let everybody know about that?
Right. It's like the core of America's awesomeness, right?
Yeah, exactly.
The whole nation rallied together. Universities from across the country, the Army, it's all these people working. It was the kind of the coronavirus, I think, was probably the worst experience for all of us that are alive right now.
Mm-hmm.
But that solution that was put together, and it was never intended to be a permanent solution. It was just to get over the hump, was one of the best experiences of my life.
Yeah.
So when you see the whole nation coming together, nobody was doing it for ego. Nobody was like picking up the phone, hey, Channel 10, you got to know what we're doing. Right?
Yeah.
Nobody was making phone calls to get PR out of it. Everybody was just working, trying to get a solution.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the whole, Corona, obviously, like you said, is terrible, worst time, but a lot of good did come out of this. I see a lot of, people are just adapting. They're forced to adapt, but, gets us out of our comfort zone, and we learn new things and find out new things about ourselves. So,
right. And it's continued too. So that was definitely the catalyst. And then once our center started to get press, and it eventually does break out.
Nice.
So once it started to break out, then clinicians were calling saying, hey, how do we deal with the fact that when we intubate, you put the tube down their throat. When we take that tube out, spit and stuff comes out. We have to protect our epidemiologists and anesthesiologists.
Yeah.
So we worked with a couple doctors, and we came up with a box, like a glove box that goes over the patient's head, so they can intubate or remove intubation and still be safe from the spittle and whatever they call the stuff that comes out.
Gotcha.
And I think we've done a couple projects working on ventilators.
Okay.
So ventilators are really complicated. So rather than trying to reinvent a ventilator, we like many universities, we helped a couple clinicians figure out how to split the ventilator. So you can use one ventilator to power multiple patients.
Oh, okay.
We took it all the way into prototypes, did a bunch of testing, and then the need started to wane. But just to be involved in it, all these are the stories that I'll tell my grandkids someday.
Yeah, that's what's up.
They're the ones that I'll remember. And we, as much as we could through coronavirus and sending everybody home, we kept as many students as we could engaged. Hopefully they tell their grandkids someday about these amazing experiences that they had.
Yeah, I mean, and it's crazy the time, but like you said, I mean, it is something that you're very proud of, that you're involved in, not in a way like, hey, look at me, you know, I'm helping, you know, all this stuff. It's just something that we know we had to do as people, and you got it done. And that's definitely, and that's one of the reasons why I want to have you. Once we were talking on the phone, and, you know, I was like, man, this is pretty cool. I was like, I definitely got to have Nate on the show.
Yeah, thanks.
And I'll talk to you about having, you know, who are we having that you wanted me to have on the show again?
I want to try to get Sean Springs involved.
Oh, I would love to. First of all, I would love, obviously, just for, I mean, I know who he is, and obviously I admire him as an athlete, but now he's trying to do stuff off the field to help the people still on the field is good. Or you could be like me, you know, who doesn't want to talk to any more baseball players because I'm jealous you're still playing and I'm not. No, I'm just
yeah, he's a great guy, and I think
I would love to get the chance to meet him so we can, you know, talk about that off air and see if we can get that done. But I really want to, you know, appreciate you for coming by. Like, ladies and gentlemen, he drove from Columbus to have this conversation with me, and he does have family here, and he wasn't just driving for me.
It was mostly for you.
Oh, yeah. I like it. But
I've got your poster up on the wall in my bedroom. Yes. I wasn't going to say anything. I thought it'd be awkward, but since we're here.
Since we're here, I love it. That's what's up. Like, you're joking, right?
Yes.
I was like, all right, well, let me just double check. Had to clear things up. But as we can see, you know, one of our own, that's another important reason, but another one of our own is doing big things. And I just thought it was important that we highlighted this. Obviously, we love our sports figures and our athletes, but stuff like this doesn't get highlighted as much as it should. And, you know, our Dover graduate is out there doing big things, you know,
trying to.
If I'm ever looking for a job, you know what I'm saying? I love ComDoc. No. But I wanted to thank you again for coming by. And I guess, is there anything else you wanted to say, you know, plug? Oh, you said, you know, your marketing students were going to help us get this out nationally, you know,
we are.
So we can get some views up. No.
We are. We absolutely are. We've already set the stage.
That's what's up.
Yep.
That's what's
marketing
up.
Communications team. They've watched a couple of your or listened to a couple of your podcasts, and they're ready to take the next step.
Nice,
Want to get through today, and they're going to promote it. Yeah.
Hopefully they thought I did a good job. But if they watch this one's good. There was a lot of information shared. I learned a lot, and I'm looking forward to this, you know, airing. But Eric always makes fun of me saying, I appreciate y'all, but I appreciate y'all, everybody, for stopping by and listening. Hopefully you got some out of this episode. And make sure you do subscribe, tune into the other podcasts. There's a lot of information being brought, not just here. You know, there's a lot of information being shared on the other podcasts that is very important. And I think it's good that we bring light to the other episodes as well. Again, if you want to sponsor the podcast or the whole network and all the other podcasts, contact Josh, getlevelpod.com, all that stuff. Did I miss anything?
OH.
I'm not saying it. No, I'm just, hey, I said that one time on campus. So I probably did it like 20 times on campus because Krista, my wife, went to school at cosmetology. How do I say this? Ohio State School of Cosmetology. Mm-hmm. And I remember I was on lane, like just driving up, and I don't know why, I was by myself. No one was in the car. I've literally never done this by myself, but I was just feeling kind of, you know, a little froggy. So I was like, hey, OH.
Did you have the windows up?
No. The windows were down, but some people were just like, I had Florida plates on. So they were like, all right. And that was literally, every time, I literally have never seen that happen, except one of my friends yelled, Michigan. And then I was like, bro, we got to get going. But no, I have great experiences at Ohio State, and that was literally the only time I've ever heard or never heard it finished. But I guess I'll finish it. Hang on, is it Sloopy?
Hang
no,
on.
I'm joking.
You can do it in almost any airport around the world. If you say OH, somebody replies.
Somebody has to.
Yep.
It's
crazy.
It is. I mean, we always see how big. We already talked about how big Ohio State football is. Just Ohio State, and it's the most popular team in Ohio. I mean, we have the Browns. But I wish we'd have won a World Series in 16. But anyways, we gotta have some other people on this podcast. We'll have some. Hopefully, I can get some baseball players to come on here, and hopefully, I can have some more people like Nate from the area that are, even though he's going to try to be modest and play it down, doing big things outside of T County. But trying to get. Hopefully, you can edit this out because this outro is very long. But we thank everybody, and tune in to the next episode next week. Thank you. Peace.
It feels like Casablanca. Shawty, you my little mama. I got a crib by the water. Say me Casa Su Casa. It feels like Casablanca. Shawty, you